Some people love me, and they don't even know I have a hard time loving myself. Some people judge me, and they don't even know I have a hard time judging myself. Life gets ugly, but I gotta paint.
All the papers, they building me up. Now they destroying me on the same image that they perpetuated.
You know, I'm just trying to keep it 100%, you know? It's my neighborhood, so.
Two worlds destined to collide. Two of the most talented rappers on the scene, both committed to revealing the truth about the struggles of street life, social injustice, and racial inequality. The biggest difference between Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, they represented different coasts.
Don't get it twisted. This is not my real life. This is not how my real life is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be really having all these villains in my life.
East Coast versus West Coast, the biggest rivalry in music history, ended up in the death of both artists just as their careers skyrocketed. Born June 16, 1971, in the East Harlem section of Manhattan, Lassane Parish Crooks was renamed just before his first birthday after Tupac Amaru, an 18th century South African revolutionary who was executed after leading an uprising against Spanish rule.
Tupac, it's me determined to overcome my obstacles.
This renaming comes as no surprise when you learn that his parents, Afeni Shakur and Billy Garland, were revolutionaries, active members of the Black Panther Party in New York.
So when the Panthers hit, the government panicked, and they had a thing called a COINTELPRO, and they felt like the Panthers were detrimental to American society, so they raided every Panthers house, especially the ones who they felt like could do the most damage as an orator. Mm-hmm. So my mother was 9 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant. They put a match to the door and said, "Fire, fire." And it's like 5 in the morning, so my mother opened the door and they just burst in, put a shotgun to her pregnant belly, and put a gun to her head and said, "Don't move, bye, bye, bye. They said, you're under arrest."
Just a month before Tupac's birthday, his mother, Afeni, was tried in New York City as part of the Panther 21 criminal trial. 21 Black Panther members were arrested and accused of planned, coordinated bombing and long-range rifle attacks on 2 police stations and an education office in New York City.
So you were right in the middle of the storm.
I'm still in the storm. I'm still in the storm. As a matter of fact, my mother was in a book. There's a book about my mother called "Look for Me in the Whirlwind," and I like to think that's my motto.
Eventually, the trial collapsed, and all 21 were acquitted of all charges. Just 1 month after his mother was freed, Tupac Shakur was born. He would go on to be a revolutionary in his own way, changing the landscape of music with the intensity of hip-hop lyrics about the harsh realities of life for so many. Christopher George Latour Wallace was born in Brooklyn, New York on May 21, 1972. His parents both hailed from the Caribbean island of Jamaica. His mom, Valletta, taught preschool. His father, Selwyn, was a welder and local Jamaican politician. Selwyn left the family when Biggie was 2, but Valletta worked 2 jobs to send her son to a private school, the Roman Catholic Bishop Lachlan Memorial High School. But Biggie subsequently transferred to the George Westinghouse Career and Technical Education High School. Alums include rappers DMX, Jay-Z, and Busta Rhymes. Biggie had excelled at English, but often played truant at Westinghouse and dropped out in 1989 at age 17. Acquiring the childhood nickname Big because of his plus-size girth, he began selling drugs at 12, working the streets near his mother's apartment on St. James Place. Valletta worked long hours and had no inkling of her son's activities. After quitting school, Biggie stepped up the drug dealing and was soon in trouble with the law. He received a 5-year probationary sentence in 1989 after being arrested on weapons possession charges. The following year, he was arrested for violating that probation. The year after that, he was charged with dealing cocaine in North Carolina and reportedly spent 9 months in jail while waiting to make bail. Taking the stage for the first time in 1984, Tupac participated in a fundraiser at the Apollo Theater for presidential candidate Jesse Jackson.
I did a play at the Apollo Theater for Jesse Jackson when he was running for president. It was for his campaign.
Was this always kind of an ambition of yours? Did you have the show business bug as a youngster?
I mean, I caught it then, but at the time, it just seemed like the fun thing to do, because I was 13, but I caught the bug when I got on stage and all those people was clapping, so that's when I got it. But really, I just enjoy expressing myself. Anytime I can express myself, I can let some of the pain go from a childhood like mine, so that's why I enjoy the acting.
A move to Baltimore, Maryland happened the same year when Tupac's mother lost her job. After 2 years at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, there was a welcome transfer to the Baltimore School for the Arts, where acting, ballet, poetry, and jazz were on offer to the creative teenager, who often performed in Shakespeare plays, depicting the timeless themes of power, politics, violence, and love he had seen firsthand in his early years. The School for the Arts opened up Tupac to an unexpectedly eclectic range of music, including U2, Culture Club, Kate Bush, and Sinead O'Connor. Tupac was a popular student at Baltimore Arts, known for his humor and ability to mix with everyone. His mother moved to Marin City, California, just north of San Francisco. Tupac thought that moving away from Baltimore would leave behind a life of poverty in a neighborhood riddled with crime. But California proved to be even worse. He said that the poverty he encountered in his early years helped him relate to many people. And here, his mother, Afeni, succumbed to crack addiction. Biggie began rapping as a teenager to entertain people in his neighborhood. After he got out of jail, he made a demo tape as Biggie Smalls, named after a gang leader from the 1975 movie Let's Do It Again, also a nod to his childhood nickname. He had no serious plans to pursue a career in music, but the tape found its way to the Source magazine, who were so impressed that they profiled Biggie in their unsigned hype column in March 1992. From there, Biggie was invited to record with other unsigned rappers. This recording came to the attention of Sean Puffy Combs, an A&R executive and producer who worked for the leading urban label, Uptown Records. He started there as an intern in 1990. Combs arranged a record deal for Biggie, but left the label soon after, having fallen out with his boss, Andre Harrell. Combs went on to set up his own imprint, Bad Boy Records. In the summer of '91, a new record company, Interscope, were looking for up-and-coming hip-hop artists. In a stroke of good luck, the daughter of the millionaire who founded the company, Ted Filed, had heard Tupac's demo and loved it. So in August '91, he signed the Interscope deal. While living in Oakland, Tupac recorded his first album, Tupacalypse Now, featuring the singles Brenda's Got a Baby and Trapped. He went from being an unknown to having a platinum-selling record. The album traces the story of a young black male from start to finish. Teenage pregnancy, poverty, drugs, police brutality, but it also draws on his personal problems.
Here, Brenda's got a baby, but Brenda's barely got a brain. A damn shame, the girl can hardly spell her name.
That's not our problem, that's up to Brenda's family.
Well, let me show you how it affects our whole community. Now, Brenda really never knew her moms, and her dad was a junkie putting death into his arms. It's sad, cause I bet Brenda doesn't even know. Just cause you're in the ghetto doesn't mean you can't grow. But oh, that's a book, my own revelation. Do whatever it takes to resist the temptation. Brenda got herself a boyfriend. Her boyfriend was a cousin, now let's watch the joy. And she tried to hide her pregnancy.
Before he had the chance to put anything out on Bad Boy, Uptown released music that Biggie recorded during his brief stint at the label, including a remix of Mary J. Blige's Real Love in August 1992 that featured a guest verse from the Notorious B.I.G. In June 1993, the label released the Notorious Big's first single as a solo artist, Party and Bullshit. With the thrill of his first record appearing on MTV, a shocking incident occurred when Tupac was severely beaten in the head.
Basically, I walked across the street, 17th and Broadway. The police officer stopped me on the sidewalk and asked to see my ID. They sweated me about my name. The officers said, "You have to learn your place." They were charging me with jaywalking, so I was riffing, arguing about why would they charge me with such a petty crime. So I kept yelling, asking them to give me my citation and let me go about my business. Next thing I know, my face was being buried into the concrete and I was laying face down in the gutter, waking up from being unconscious in cuffs with blood on my face, and I'm going to jail for resisting arrest. That's harassment to me, that I have to be stopped in the middle of the street and checked, like we're in South Africa, and asked for my ID. Officer Boyvic repeatedly slammed my face into the floor while Rogers put the cuffs on me. That's not called for jaywalking.
He had a $10 million lawsuit, which they said they would settle, but Tupac said that nobody cared. What people did care about was what blew up over the news. They didn't see him being beaten up for jaywalking, with his head and eye bloodied and bruised. All they wanted to see were the images of him coming out of jail in handcuffs. It was a traumatic experience, but a rite of passage for him. Pac came from a family where police had killed the people close to him. After the Oakland police had beaten him, he changed. He settled for $42,000 because he was tired of being in court, knowing that he could have gotten more money, but settling for it to be over. Often complaining that he was misunderstood, Tupac remarked, "Everything in life is not all beautiful. There is lots of killing and drugs. To me, a perfect album talks about the hard stuff and the fun and caring stuff. It seems like a lot of the sensitive stuff I write goes unnoticed." That same year, as he worked on music for his debut album, Biggie Smalls met Tupac for the first time. Their encounter, detailed in Ben Westhoff's book, Original Gangsters, occurred at a party held by an LA drug dealer. They ate, drank, and smoked together, and Tupac, already a successful recording artist, gifted Biggie, then unknown outside of New York, a bottle of Hennessy. After that, Tupac mentored Biggie whenever the two met up. At one point, Biggie even asked if Tupac would become his manager. "Nah, stay with Puff," Tupac said. "He will make you a star." Biggie was particularly concerned about money around that time because he became a father in August to Tiana, his daughter, with high school sweetheart, Jan. It has been reported that Biggie went back to drug dealing until Combs learned what he was up to and made him stop. Life changed for Tupac when he auditioned for Juice. In the movie, Tupac plays the part of Bishop, whom he describes as a psychopath, but is also just a misguided, lonely young kid. Tupac could relate to his character. He said that he just let himself go during filming. He stopped caring and worrying about what people thought. In turn, he portrayed the character to a point where he felt nothing was fake. He took everything in his life and internalized it. He said that the character of Juice helped him. It allowed him to feel trust and let him trust his instincts. Poetic Justice, the second film Tupac starred in, was where he had to really act. The character, Lucky, was caring, hardworking, and responsible, a complete reversal of his previous role as Bishop.
Lucky is a responsible father, committed father, trying to deal with some pain from the past and trying to get through daily survival in South Central Los Angeles. Anytime it's a role for a young black man that deals with pain, that's my role. I'm made for that role. So Lucky, as well as the last role I did, Bishop, they both fit me perfect.
The Notorious B.I.G.'s debut album came out on Bad Boy in September 1994, a month after Juicy, his first single for the label. The album, Ready to Die, was certified gold within 2 months, double platinum the following year, and eventually quadruple platinum. Big Papa, the second of the album's 4 singles, was nominated for a Grammy for Best Rap Solo Performance.
Keep banging.
Throw your hands in the air if you're the true player. To the honeys getting money, playing niggas like dummies. You got the gun up in your waist, please don't shoot up the place. Cause I see some ladies tonight.
Ready to Die marked a resurgence in East Coast hip-hop, and Biggie was widely acclaimed for the narrative ability he displayed on the album's semi-autobiographical tales from his wayward youth. Tupac's second album arrived in February 1993. It was a critical and commercial advance and a stark departure from the violence found on his debut studio album. The album produced Pac's first set of mainstream hits. Keep Your Head Up is considered one of the best rap tracks of all time. Grounded by a sample from the 5 Stair Steps 1970 track Ooh Child, Tupac's sentimental remake, Things Are Gonna Get Easier, remains rap's hallmark ode to black women.
Keep your head up.
I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so tough.
Many consider it one of the most profound rap songs ever made. It is often referenced by other artists in their work, building Tupac's persona as a very influential rapper with a social conscience.
People love to, have mercy and sympathy for everything, from the animals to the whales to fur to everything except us, your youth, the ones who you've had given no attention to, who become adults with no compassion. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you walk by a street and you was walking on concrete and you saw a rose growing out of concrete, even if it had messed up petals and it was a little, to the side, you would marvel at just seeing a rose grow through concrete. So why is it that when you see some ghetto kid grow out of all of the dirtiest circumstances and he can talk and he can sit across from you, make you smile, make you cry, make you laugh, all you can talk about is my dirty rose, my dirty stems, and how I'm leaning crooked to the side. You can't even see that I came up out of it.
There was an underlying tension between the rappers on the East and West Coast. At the Tupac picnic in Watts, California, Tupac was instrumental in getting rival members of the Crips and Bloods gangs to sign the Code of Thug Life, which detailed do's and don'ts for being a righteous thug and man.
THUGLIFE. The hate you gave little infants, CCK, everybody. Meaning, what you feed us as seeds grows and blows up in your face. That's thug life.
Names like Tupac Shakur, Flavor Flav, Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Reverend Calvin Butts is leading a crusade against violent rap from his pulpit in Harlem.
We're not against rap. We're not against rappers. But we are against those thugs.
Yes, I am going to say that I'm a thug. That's because I came from the gutter and I'm still here. I'm not saying I'm a thug because I want to rob you and rape people and things. I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman because you find me at my places of business. You don't find me up in you know what I'm saying? I don't understand this. I don't understand. What do you think about it?
It was written by Tupac together with his stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, and with the help of some original gangsters. This code was his way of maintaining some control within his devoted following, who may have interpreted thug more literally.
People that are not involved with the street gang, with the drug trade, or the illegal business at all, you know, all that kidnapping and shooting drive-bys out the car, we're against that. And people who perpetrate that, they have to deal with the consequences when they go to jail, because that's who's going to enforce this code and the thug life that's on the street. It's like we cleaning up the dirt. I can't change what the dirt that's here, but I can put all this dirt in one corner. You know what I'm saying? Somehow have some order here. And for that, they need to give me a little leg room. You know what I'm saying? Let me do what I want to do, because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else wants to do it.
Undeniably, words would often get Tupac into trouble. Lyrically, he felt like he would and could not hold back on what he wanted to say. If he tried to police this free flow, it would give him writer's block. As he was young and still relatively new in the media spotlight, he didn't always think before he spoke in interviews. One example is when Tupac appeared on TV to explain his side of the story as to why he was fired from a movie. It all stemmed from when the Hughes brothers took Tupac to court after he assaulted them during a music video shoot they were directing. The show's host, Ed Lover, attempted to cover his mouth so that Tupac did not dig an even deeper hole, but it was too late.
I beat up the directors the minutes to the side. Let me tell the whole world. All right, tell them how you did what you had to do. These chump, punk, slump, you know what I'm saying?
You'll have a chance to come here and rebuttal.
No, they won't. They better come now. Check this out. They fired me, but did it in a roundabout punk snitch way. So I caught them on the streets and beat they behind. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like, I was a menace to the Hughes brothers. And it ain't over. I still got more than chump. Don't jump to the TV. Don't jump to the TV.
The Hughes brothers used the MTV footage in court to help get Tupac convicted of assault. He served 15 days in jail. The trouble didn't stop there. Tupac and 3 other men were charged in New York with sexually assaulting a woman in a hotel room.
Hi, Tupac. How you doing? Can you tell me how you doing today?
Well, I just had to listen to the prosecution's closing argument, and it was just so far from the truth that it really just has me drained at the end of the day. But I'm leaving it in the hands of the jury. I'm learning a lot about people's innermost fears in this trial, because it's not even about my trial no more. It's just about loud rap music, tattoo having thugs. It's not even about me no more. It's about, you know, some nightmare that these people having.
She's talking about thug life and all that, trying to...
He's definitely guilty. Anybody with thug life tattooed on their stomach is guilty. What type of reasoning is that? You know what I'm saying? We got different backgrounds. We come from 2 different places. Just because I look different than her doesn't mean that I'm a sodomizer or a raper. They've said it in the... I can't understand why it's this close. They talking about there's no evidence that I ever sodomized her, even though you put that all over the paper. And every time they take a quote out of this courtroom, they take a quote from out of her mouth, which is, you know, the stuff to put me in jail. It's nothing that's been true. I just want print the facts so everybody can sort it out. My life is ruined because nobody has a chance to get the facts.
And the fact is that there was no semen found.
No semen found, no forcible entry, no entry into the anal, no nothing, none of that. You know,
and no fingerprints on the gun.
No fingerprints on the guns, you know what I'm saying? The only time ever there was an act of sodomy, she admitted she did it to me. I should be, you know, putting charges on this girl who sodomized me on the floor of a dance club. Why am I in court? You know what I'm saying? Get my life ripped apart. But I'm here. I'm going to go through it just to show that I have faith in the American system. But for me to have faith in the American system, these juries and everybody else has to, you know what I'm saying, play the same role and to keep an open mind. I'm already convicted. My whole life has been turned around. I lost every job. I lost everything, every opportunity. I can't get buy cars, can't get rent, can't get none of that. But I'm still a survivor. You know, I'm still coming to court, still smiling, still signing autographs. But soon I'm going to go crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it's up to the world. You know, America eats its babies. No matter what y'all think about me, I'm still your child. You know what I'm saying? You can't just turn me off like that.
How old are you, 23?
23.
So you feel that your career is...
Yeah, it is. Why would I own a gun? I've registered guns. You know what I'm saying? I'm a legal owner of guns.
In California.
California. So I came to New York and wanted to be an illegal gun runner now. You know, that's what they want you to believe. I want to start erasing... What? Come on, man. This is all about my image. This has nothing to do with me. This is all about my image. It's like MTV, all the papers, they building me up. Now they destroying me on the same image that they perpetuated. You know what I'm saying? I'm selling records. This is what I do for a living. I'm selling records. Don't get it twisted. This is not my real life. This is not how my real life is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be really having all these villains in my life.
He was released on $50,000 bail. But on the night of November 30th, 1994, the day before the verdict in the trial was to be announced, Tupac was shot 5 times, twice in the head, twice in the groin area, and the most severe wound, a gunshot through his hand, hitting an artery in his thigh.
Shakur was apparently attacked by robbers as he and 3 other men arrived at a New York City recording studio early this morning. A man identified as Shakur's manager was also wounded. Shakur and his road manager are currently on trial on sex abuse charges.
Checking himself out of Bellevue Hospital against doctor's orders, Tupac claimed he did not feel safe there. It was his time to leave. Unsolicited phone calls fueled his paranoia, and he couldn't sleep. Tupac felt like a prisoner to fame, and even said he wanted to die at this point.
Shakur was found guilty of sexually abusing a woman last November in a New York hotel room. The jury acquitted him of more serious charges, sodomy and illegal carrying a weapon. Shakur, who was shot 5 times Wednesday during an apparent robbery attempt, was not in the courtroom when the verdict was read.
He was attacked while entering the lobby of Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan and robbed by 2 armed men in army fatigues. He would later accuse fellow recording artists Sean Combs, Andre Harrell, and Biggie Smalls, whom he saw after the shooting, of setting him up. Also suspected of being involved in the attack was his close friend and associate, Randy Stretch Walker. In his defense, Biggie said they were in the recording studio and did not know Tupac would be there. Once they heard he was downstairs, Lil C's went to get him, but returned with news that he had been shot. When Biggie's entourage went downstairs to investigate, Tupac was being taken out on a stretcher, still conscious and giving the finger to those around. He survived the attack, but believed Biggie might have something to do with it, even though they did make it downstairs to see him after the incident. Tupac said the crew looked surprised and guilty, but Puffy claimed they showed him nothing but love and concern.
I'm not guilty. People should look me in my eyes. They should look me in my eyes. And anybody that thinks I committed that rape should go get Brenda's Got a Baby and keep your head up and listen to him thoroughly. I have no patience for anybody that doubts me. None at all. It's too hard out here. You know what I'm saying? If my people don't stand up for me, who is? I understand these white folks looking at me like that because they don't know me. They didn't hear keep your head up. That ain't no fluke. You know, keep your head up ain't no goddamn come up. I didn't do that to be smiling in my face to say, oh, he's cool. I did that from my heart. So that if they do try to put a rape charge on me, my sisters could say he ain't out there. Now, if my sisters can't say that, you won't hear another keep your head up out my mouth.
Drawing lyrical inspiration from the impending prison sentence, poverty and troubles with the police, Me Against the World is described as Tupac's most introspective album, his magnum opus. The albums hit the shelves while he was still in prison. It helps shift his image from that of a gangster rapper to more of a gangster poet. On Dear Mama, Tupac empathizes with his mother's difficulties raising him. He details his childhood poverty and his mother's addiction to crack cocaine, but argues that his love and deep respect for his mother supersedes bad memories. In 1990, realizing her habit was out of control, she enrolled in a 12-step program at a drug and alcohol treatment center and reconciled with her son, who was, at this point, a successful recording artist. The Dear Mama video features an appearance from Afeni. She reenacts her reconciliation with a lookalike of her son, as Tupac himself was serving his prison sentence at the time. While in prison, his album quickly climbed the charts, and the video struck a chord with many.
And even as a crack fiend, mama, you always was the black queen, mama. I finally understand for a woman it ain't easy trying to raise a man. You always was committed, a poor single mother on welfare. Tell me how you did it, there's no way I can pay you back. But the plan is to show you that I understand. You all appreciate it. Don't you know we love you, sweet dear mama. Place no one above you, you all appreciate it. Don't you know we love you.
With a $1.4 million bond posted by Suge Knight, the CEO of Death Row Records, in October 1995, after 11 months, Tupac was released from Clinton Correctional Facility. Freedom brought creativity, and within 2 weeks, he had recorded 24 tracks, saying that it was the best way to vent instead of paying some psychotherapist $50 million. California Love was released as Tupac's comeback single. It was one of his most widely known and most successful singles, reaching #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 2 weeks. His release from prison seemed almost like a rebirth for Tupac's creativity. Up to that point, he'd mostly been an insular artist, with ideas and thoughts aimed in specific directions. California Love gave him the stellar widescreen treatment that the Notorious B.I.G. would get later. It was just a glimpse of what he might achieve as a rap superstar.
Out on bail, fresh out of jail, California dreaming. Soon as I step on the scene, I'm hearing hoochie screaming, fiending for money and alcohol, the life of a West Side player with cowards die in a strong ball. Only in Cali will we riot, not rally to live and die. In LA we wear chucks, not valleys. Yeah, that's right. Just in loafs and khaki suits and ride is what we do. Flossing but have caution, we collide with other crews, famous because we programs. Worldwide, let them recognize from Long Beach to Rosecrans, bumping and grinding like a slow jam. It's West Side, so you know the road will bow down to no man.
With Suge Knight of Death Row Records being one of the most powerful, feared men in the music industry and a central figure in gangster rap's catapult to massive commercialization, Tupac's new contract wasn't just about music. It also marked his acceptance into Suge's powerful group, known to have strong gang affiliation. West Coast-East Coast rivalry was gearing up just as Tupac was released from jail. The East Coast was Bad Boy, and the West was Death Row. As with everything, business profit in terms of sales mattered, and so the popularity of the artists and how many records they sold were key. New York City was the birthplace of hip-hop, and artists from LA felt they weren't given the same media coverage and public attention as those on the East Coast. But for Tupac, it was more personal than this. Being from the East Coast, Tupac's allegiance was there, and he was not pleased with East Coast rappers like Diddy and Biggie wanted to dirty up everything he had worked for. So he turned up the heat with music videos satiring the ongoing feud. Now he was involved with Suge Knight and Death Row, and the situation became a completely other thing. A war with blood split and threats made. It started at the Source Awards in New York. Knight flew in many people from Death Row. They got booed when they were coming up for their awards. Suge Knight's famous remarks that night became the first real shots in a deadly battle.
I'd like to tell Tupac, keep his guards up. We ride with him. And one other thing I'd like to say, any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
In a provocative move, Tupac made a song with Faith Evans, Biggie's wife. Shortly after, he wrote the song Hit 'Em Up, a classic battle record. It played a major role in exacerbating the East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry. Following its release, the East Coast rappers who were insulted by the song responded through their own tracks. As said by longtime collaborator Johnny J, the ferocity of Tupac's raging vocals was entirely authentic, explaining that it was initially fueled by his anger against Biggie and Bad Boy Records.
I ain't got no motherfucker. So I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. West Side, Bad Boy Killers. You know who the realest is, niggas. We bring it to you. First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West Side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. We bust on bad boys, niggas fuck for life. Plus, Puffy tryna see me weak, hearts I rip. Biggie Smalls and Junior Mafia, some mark ass bitches. We keep on coming while we running for your juice. Steady gunning, keep on busting at the boots. You know the rules.
Biggie began working on his second studio album in September 1995 and continued into the following year, but there would be more trouble. In March 1996, He was arrested after chasing 2 autograph hunters with a baseball bat in Manhattan, threatening to kill them. He was sentenced to 100 hours of community service. Months later, police raided his house in New Jersey and found 50 grams of marijuana and 4 automatic weapons. That same summer, he was charged with beating and robbing a friend of a concert promoter at a New Jersey nightclub. And then, in the fall, he was arrested again, this time for smoking marijuana in his car in Brooklyn. The War of Words rivalry took a deadly turn on September 7, 1996. The MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas was the venue for a Mike Tyson boxing match Tupac was watching. On the way out in the casino lobby, Tupac and his bodyguards got into a fight with Orlando Anderson, a member of the New York Crips, which would have deadly repercussions.
Prior to the day that Tupac was shot on September the 7th, I arrived in Las Vegas September the 6th, the day before. That day, we were told not to bring our weapons into the club after the fight, not to have our weapons on our person, to either leave them in our hotel room or to leave them in our vehicles.
Has there ever been a situation where you were told to leave your weapon prior to this?
We were never told prior to September the 7th to leave our weapons anywhere, other than the fact if we were going out of the state of California by airplane to a video shoot or on tour, we knew common sensely we couldn't carry a weapon on an airplane. So more than likely we would have left our weapons at that time, but we were never told, there was never a meeting held specifically to tell us to leave our weapons, period. The fight was boom, 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 the fight was over. After the fight, Tupac's and Suge's thing was to go to the back where, Mike's dressing room. So we went backstage. We go backstage and we're waiting on Tyson to come back there. And Pac's back there, he's all excited. His boy just knocked out Selden. 50 blows, he just hit him 50 times. You count him. So, I'm back there with him and everything, and Suge is back there. So Suge says something to Pac, and then the next thing I know, we're leaving. Tyson didn't even make it out the ring to come down. Everyone shows up, and one of Suge's homeboys, his name is Trevon, he comes over and he whispers something in Pac's right ear, because I'm on his left. He whispers something. Next thing I know, Tupac takes off running. He took off running, and I went off running behind him, and when he turned the corner, there was this guy standing there. Little did I know who he was. He ran up to him, and he swung. And then the guy swung back, and then Pac weaved, and then Pac swung again. And at this time, there was like 3 or 4 blows thrown. Tupac had this medallion on that he had recently purchased, and it broke. When it broke, he went down to pick it up. When he went down to pick it up, I grabbed him. When I grabbed him, I threw him against the wall, so I had him out of the fight. At this time, everyone else is running up, as clearly the MGM footage shows. The guy is Orlando Anderson, now that we know who he is. They're into this brawl. And I have Tupac against the wall now at this point. The fight ended. We had to get out of there. Little did I know, earlier, when they had left me, I had already walked all through the MGM. So everybody's taking off, going in the wrong direction. I go, no, Suge, this way, right? And then he's like, no, this way. And I go, Suge, I was just here all day, this way. So they followed. And we followed, got our way out, and we took off and walked back over to the Lexor. We get back over to the Lexor. Suge said, hey, I'm going to go up and change. Pac was there, I'm going to go up and change. We'll meet back out in the valet. All right, cool. We're down in the, at this time, we left his room. We're down in the valet parking. We're waiting on Suge. Suge shows up. While we're down in the valet, all of the hoochies, all of the groupies, everybody that knew Tupac and Suge was, Suge, can we go to the club? Suge, Pac, can we go? Suge said, let's go. He and Pac was walking to Suge's BMW. I'm walking with them. When we get to the car, Pac turned to me and goes, yo, Frank. He pulled the keys out and he handed me the keys. He goes, drive the little homies because we're going to be drinking tonight and you'll be able to drive us back. So I was like, what car you want me to drive? He goes, drive Kadada's car. And I didn't even know where the car was. I go, where is it? He goes, it's right there. He goes, the homies will show you where it's at. So I was like, all right. So Suge gets in his car, he and Pac, and the entourage is starting to form now. Suge takes off. I'm right behind him. I'm the bodyguard on point. Theoretically and honestly, there should have been 3 or 4 more bodyguards with us that particular time, going from there, going to Suge's house, and going back to the club that night for the after party. Later on, I found out that with security, that there was 22, about 20 to 22 security personnel for this night. Everyone was called Club 662 to set up the security and get the people rolling in over there. So all of the security was there. Michael Moore, who was with me earlier that evening, supposedly had met us at the MGM. His story to me was Al Gittins, who was the supervisor now for security at this point, Al Gittins told Michael Moore to fuck that. You go and come to the club. And he was like, well, Tupac told me to come over to the MGM. He was like, no, we need you over here. You get over here. So Mike went over to the club. So I was the only one left with Pac. Keep in mind, my weapon was in my car. I didn't have a phone. I had no way of communication. Reggie was also over at the club. Reggie normally is Suge's bodyguard. And Reggie is always with Suge. That night, why he wasn't with Suge, only Reggie knows that. At this time, everyone in the car, not just me, looked at the gas and was like, yo, Frank, we're going to run out of gas. I was like, what y'all want me to do, pull over and get gas? I go, you know, if we pull over, we lost them. Right? So I said, I can't pull over. I might as well take the chance and run out of gas, right? Thinking we're just going to go to Suge's and from Suge's back to the club. But the light had been on forever at this point, on the gas light.
How long were you at Suge's house?
When we got to Suge's house, we were at Suge's house probably a good 30 minutes. Suge went in, he changed clothes, and they were all just BSing a little bit. When Suge finally came out, hopped in his car, and we came through the security guard that guards the homes going into Suge's place, there had to been 20, 30 cars out on the road just waiting for us to come out to follow us. We leave out of Suge's, again, we're flying 70, 80 miles an hour going back toward Las Vegas Strip. We get back on the Strip at this point, and why the car didn't run out of gas is a miracle right now to me, because it should have. We get back on the Strip. We're proceeding to go down the Strip. It's a fight night. The fight's over. The Strip is jam-packed, crowded. We're probably about in front of the Excalibur Hotel, which is right by Tropicana on Las Vegas Strip. Tupac and Suge was in the car in front of me, and their music was playing pretty loud because we could hear it. And there was bicycle cops. A couple of bicycle cops pulled up, and one of them went over to Suge's side and asked him, I guess, to turn down the music, I'm assuming. And then the next thing I know, Suge opens the door, steps out of the car. He and a cop walks to the back of the car, and he opens up the trunk. The car was brand new, didn't have a license plate on it. So he looked in the trunk, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, I hope they don't get popped. He let him go. So now we're still in gridlock traffic. So we proceed to go down the Strip. We're going down the Strip. Pac and Suge are up there doing their thing, talking. Myself and Outlaws were in there, listening to their music. We get to Flamingo off of Las Vegas Strip. We got to turn right. We make a right off of the Strip. The next light is Koval. Little did we know that anything was about to happen. We pull up to the light. I am the second car. Actually, I'm the third car. One of Suge's homeboys was in front of Suge, which never, ever, ever happened with anyone being in front of Suge. Then another one of his homeboys, Trevon, was to the left of Suge, which would have been to his side of the car. So you got Trevon to the left, you have K-Dove in the front, and you have me in the back. And we're sitting at this light. September, it's hot, sticky, and we're all just sitting there pretty much just vegging out, waiting on the light to change. Then all of a sudden, I noticed this white Cadillac. Cadillac pulls up, and it was not like a thought of mine that something was about to happen, because in the entourage, as we're proceeding to go to Club 662, people are, women are like, yo, Pac, Suge, and can we go? You know, groupies and things like that. So it was not anything out of the ordinary for this car to be pulling up, thinking that something's going to happen. And as soon as the car pulled up, my head turned back, and I'm looking, and I'm watching the car. Malcolm, who is sitting in the seat behind Yak Fula was in a passenger seat with me up in the front, and Kay Castro, was directly behind me. Before the Cadillac pulled up, we're all just vegging. They're looking out toward the right. Cadillac pulls up, we notice it, and then all of a sudden, this arm comes out. An arm comes out. And he just started firing immediately. And I'm like, oh my God. And all you see and all you hear is they had Suge out of the vehicle on the ground, and as I was approaching him, the blood was shooting up out of his head. So I'm yelling, let him up. He's with us. He was part of the entourage. And when they let him up, Tupac is still sitting in the passenger seat. The door is still closed. So Suge says, I can do it. It's my car. I'll open it. The door was actually stuck. So Suge got over there, opened the door, and we pulled Pac out of the car. When we pulled him out of the car, we lined him down on the side of the car, and I'm kneeling down at this time, and I'm talking to him like, Pac, and he's like, he's trying to breathe, and then he goes, I can't breathe.
Las Vegas police never arrested anyone in connection with the cold-blooded murder, even failing to follow up with Yaki Gaddafi, a member of Tupac's entourage who was there that evening and claimed he could identify the assailant. It seems too much of a coincidence that 2 months later, Gaddafi was murdered before he could give his damning statement. One theory comes from Russell Poole, a former LAPD detective. He believes that Suge Knight set up Tupac's murder. This might seem unlikely, considering Knight was hit in the shooting, but Detective Poole thinks he had his own motives for the contract killing. Apparently, Knight owed Tupac a lot of money. Some accounts point up to $10 million. Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, backs up the theory as she sued Death Row Records in 1997 for mishandling her son's funds and withholding millions of dollars from Tupac. Seemingly more proof for this theory comes by way of the fact that Tupac intended to leave Death Row Records, firing his lawyer at the time, David Kenner, who, in addition to being Suge Knight's lawyer, also wrote up Tupac's agreement with Death Row Records. A week after the lawyer was fired, Knight invited Tupac to the fateful boxing match.
I saw no reason why anyone would sit in a vehicle or next to anyone that they would put a hit on someone and be sitting next to him with the bullets flying all through the car like it did that night. Suge was a target as well as Tupac was. I stick by that. I said that in my book. Why would I have put in Rolling Stone magazine or with this Detective Poole, as he said I said these things, why would have I told him these things when I didn't even put it in my own book? It would have gone in my book before it would have gone in Rolling Stone magazine. I'm shocked that Rolling Stone magazine would even print something like that without checking secondary source. They could have gotten a hold of me through my publisher. I never said that Suge Knight was one of the shrewdest gangsters. Suge personally never did anything to me. He treated security very well, as I've stated before. There was no beef with anyone in security with Suge Knight.
Do you have an idea why Tupac was killed?
No, I don't.
In Orlando Anderson's initial testimony, he said that Suge Knight was part of the brawl in the lobby, but then later changed his story to say that Suge had tried to stop the fight, stating, "I see him pulling people off of me." One theory is that Anderson changed his story because of a payoff by Knight himself. The detective also claimed that the bullet wound Knight received that night was never verified by the hospital, eyewitnesses, or the police. However, this finding conveniently contradicts the 2014 Las Vegas report by Chris Carroll, who insisted that Knight's head was gushing blood, and he had clearly been hit in the head. Carroll emphasized in his report 18 years later that Knight expressed legitimate concern and believed it wasn't acting. Greg Kading proposed a different story, a former LAPD detective assigned to the case in 2006, 10 years after the event. Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, the CEO of East Coast Bad Boy Records, was whom he held responsible for orchestrating Tupac's death. Detective Kading met with Crips gang member Keith Davis to confess on tape that P. Diddy paid him $1 million to carry out the murder of Tupac and Suge Knight. He also said that Orlando Anderson, who was in fact Davis's nephew, was the one who pulled the trigger. He also admitted to being in Anderson's car at the time of the murder. To quote Davis, "Orlando rolled down the window and popped him. If they would have driven on my side, I would have popped them." Davis said that the motive for Diddy was fear and paranoia that Suge Knight would strike first. He also said that Tupac was only included in the hit because P. Diddy was furious about his diss track, Hit 'Em Up. Because of the shooting in 1994 and the aftermath, Tupac repeatedly stated that he suspected Diddy to be the perpetrator of the incident. In 2011, Dexter Isaac, who was serving life in prison, confessed that a P. Diddy associate hired him to rob Tupac that night. P. Diddy has repeatedly denied the claim, stating, "This story is pure fiction and completely ridiculous." Another theory comes from Chuck Phillips, a former LA Times journalist. He believed that Orlando Anderson, Biggie Smalls, and the Southside Crips gang were responsible for the murder. The LA Times investigated the murder for over a year and came up with the following findings. The Crips retaliated against the beating of Anderson by shooting Tupac. Anderson was the shooter. Biggie Smalls paid $1 million for the supplied gun and murder of Tupac. Biggie's motive for wanting Tupac dead, his year-long feud, was well documented. His claim in Hit 'Em Up that he had slept with Faith Evans, Biggie's wife, was reason enough. According to the investigative journalist, Biggie nor anyone who was affiliated with him was not questioned by the police. On March 9, 1997, less than 6 months after Tupac's murder, Biggie was shot and killed. Biggie was leaving a party in Los Angeles after the Soul Train Awards. He was sitting in an SUV when another vehicle pulled up next to his and shot him. The shooter, who fired at Biggie at least 5 times, fled the scene. Biggie died later that night. He was 24 years old. A spokesperson for the LAPD told Business Insider of Biggie's murder, "The case is still open. As long as a case has not been solved, it remains open." There are theories that Suge Knight could have had something to do with either death. People believe he wanted Tupac dead so he wouldn't switch record labels, or that he had Biggie killed out of revenge for Tupac's murder, or that he had Biggie killed to distract investigators from pointing the blame for Tupac's death in his direction. LAPD officer Russell Poole, who was a lead investigator on Biggie's murder, once again accused other LAPD officers of having connections to Death Row Records and Suge Knight, who he thought planned Biggie's murder. Poole believed that Knight had Biggie murdered as revenge for Tupac's death. He was ordered to stop his investigation on the case and retired in 1999. Poole died of a heart attack in August 2015 while he was discussing the case with LA County Sheriff homicide detectives. At the time, he was working on a book about the murders. According to a retired LAPD detective, Biggie's mother, Valletta Wallace, believes that Puff Daddy and Suge Knight are responsible for her son's murder. Valletta Wallace told the Daily Mail that the murder of her son hurts me every single day and that she has a very good idea about who killed him. They've done their investigation, but they just refuse to move forward, she said. I don't know why they haven't arrested who was involved. It seems to me that it's one giant conspiracy, and someone is definitely being protected somewhere down the line. The cases remain unsolved, with most of the major players now either dead or serving lengthy prison sentences. It seems unlikely that the actual circumstances of Tupac or Biggie's murder will ever be conclusively proved in court, but it won't stop people from looking for answers. Biggie's shocking fate spelt the end of the East Coast-West Coast rap feud. Two of the greatest rappers to ever pick up a microphone were dead and gone. Hip-hop's reputation had been dragged through the gutter. Nobody had any appetite for more. Tupac and Biggie endure as two of hip-hop's most iconic figures and most potent enigmas. No other artists better illuminate hip-hop's fault lines between regional pride and mainstream success, and the struggle to transcend and elevate beyond humble origins while honoring the streets that raised them.